Hey everyone! So before we get started, let's just ignore the fact that my hair is currently a little bit ginger. I'm in the middle of stripping out the old dye and recoloring, and it's currently this. This isn't any kind of end product that I'm going for, so let's just pretend it's not there and not talk about it. What we are going to be talking about today are psychics and mediums and the ways in which they cause harm. When I was a lot younger, I used to think that people claimed to be psychics and mediums, whether they were doing live shows or on TV or whatever. I used to think it was just a bit of fun, ooh, you're gonna tell me you can talk to the dead or be possessed by them or tell my future or whatever. It was a bit of fun, bit of a giggle, bit entertaining, right? I think it can be argued to some extent that some people do get a benefit out of seeing psychics and mediums, not only for the entertainment value, but it can be comforting to some people, it can provide closure to people who've lost loved ones. However, the older I get, the more harm I see psychics and mediums causing, and I do think the harm in a lot of cases outweighs the good or the comfort or the entertainment that they can give. I think they can cause distress for people who are already vulnerable. I think in some cases it can open up old wounds or cause worry and pain when there wasn't worry and pain before. People claiming to be psychics and mediums are literally exploiting some of the most vulnerable people at some of the lowest points of their lives when they've lost people they care about. And that doesn't sit right with me at all. And so that's kind of why I wanted to make this video today, and it's what I want to talk about. I want to look at 3 ways that people claiming to be psychics and mediums can cause harm, and we're going to look at some examples where this has happened. 3 examples of psychics causing more harm than good. First up, psychics and mediums exploit vulnerable people for money. Most people want to see a psychic or a medium after the loss of a loved one. Not necessarily immediately after, it could be years after, but generally most people want to try and connect with someone that they've lost by seeing a psychic or medium, right? Perhaps they just want to know if there's an afterlife, they want to know if their loved one is safe, if they're happy, they want to know if their loved one is watching over them or looking out for them. They want to kind of be told that the people that they love aren't completely gone, that there's still some way to connect with them, there's still that connection there. Or maybe they just want a chance to say their goodbyes to someone who was taken away unexpectedly or whatever. When you lose someone you love, whether it's a family member or a friend or a partner, it often leaves people obviously upset, but it leaves them at some of the lowest points that you'll ever be at in your life. And I feel like to use this as an opportunity to make money is a little bit disgusting. Now, I do get that you can argue that a lot of professions make money off, I guess, the vulnerabilities of people or, people being at a low point or whatever. I get that, but I don't think other professions exploit it in the same way that psychics and mediums do. So, for example, you could argue that undertakers make money off death, or psychiatrists and counsellors make money off vulnerable people suffering. However, for me, the difference is that, undertakers, for example, are providing an actual service, they're providing physical goods. Disposing of dead bodies is a need that has to be taken care of by someone, and I think most people would prefer that it's done in a respectful, humane, and memorializing way. And we can't expect the people doing that to work for free. Similarly, when it comes to counsellors and psychiatrists and things like that, they use their set of skills to help vulnerable people get to a better place in their lives and to help people help themselves. Again, they're providing a service that is needed and that is needed by a lot of people. And their service provides people with the tools they need to become productive, functional members of society again. Compare that to what a psychic or medium is doing, and you could argue they're giving some people closure or comfort, but if you look at the actual, service they're providing, which is to claim they're talking to the dead, that's not essential. The arguments about comfort and closure are, kind of needs that could be fulfilled elsewhere by other people in different ways. And let's be honest, they aren't actually communicating with the dead. That is a lie. They're lying to vulnerable people. Yeah, they're lying, basically. I guess I'm kind of rambling, but what I'm trying to say is the difference is someone like an undertaker is providing a service based around the death of a loved one, a psychic or a medium is literally exploiting the death of a loved one. They're lying, they're manipulating their clients, and they're asking for money in return. And that doesn't sit well with me. That makes me very uncomfortable. For me, asking for money for a service that you can't actually provide is a scam. And I think the psychics and mediums who turn the death of loved ones into entertainment for others and get money for it are even worse. As an example, here's a clip of Teresa Caputo, who also goes by Long Island Medium, where she's claiming that she's connecting with a woman's 7-month-old baby who died. The mother already feels terrible guilt for the baby's death because it was an accident that happened. But I guess the way I want to put it is the way she brings up the details of this death to create an entertaining TV show and brings back all these like painful memories for the mother. You know, she brings back this mother's guilt and pain for a TV show. It just doesn't sit well with me. Take a look at this clip.
Well, who lost the son? How do you connect with the B name? Bobby? Okay. Did you have a nickname for him besides Bobby? Why do I keep hearing Buddy?
I called him my little buddy all the time.
Oh, she used to call him her buddy, right?
Yeah. Bobby was 7.5 months old when he passed. The moment he was born, it was the happiest moment of my life. And I felt like that was the purpose, that I was here. And every day just gave to him. And when he passed away, you know, I felt like I died too.
Well, what happened with the head? But then I feel like I'm stuck.
His stroller was up against the bed, and he got stuck.
Okay, so that's why I felt like I was stuck.
I had put him down for a nap. When I went to go check on him, he was in the stroller, but he was hanging from the stroller with his head. His neck was caught, and he was already gone.
And if you think that's bad, take a look at this clip of Sally Morgan, who is arguably one of the worst psychics in the UK. In this next clip, she's literally claiming she's channeling the dead granddaughter of a woman. And while this sounds bad on its own, one thing you have to know about Sally Morgan is, if you don't know much about Sally Morgan, I think it's Miles Power who has some really good videos about her, and I'll link those in the description below. Sally Morgan in the past has been exposed for scamming her fans, faking her stage shows. What she does before her shows is she either gets her audience to fill out prayer cards, either online or in person before her shows start. And then, I'm not saying it's been 100% proven, but there's some pretty interesting evidence that suggests she wears an earpiece throughout her shows, and information from her audience's prayer cards are provided to her while she's on stage. So when you watch the next clip, I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that she's talking about a young child who died. And I want you to remember that everyone in this audience has paid around 30 to 40 quid each to be in the seats where she are. Plus she made money off DVD sales. Plus she's making money off YouTube and so on. The amount of money she's making off exploiting someone's dead granddaughter, it's revolting to me. With that in mind, take a look at this.
I've got what it is in my head over here. Do you know that Eric Clapton song, like, Layla, got you on my knees, I can hear it singing. Carol, I've a young girl here. Turn it up. Where are you? Oh, darling, she saw you as I was up there. Nanny!
See? No, it's...
Nanny!
Carol.
You're going to make me cry now. Make me cry now. Why can I hear Eric Clapton?
Because that's her song, isn't it?
She's called Lila.
She's called Lila.
Oh my God.
And that's the song.
Oh, I just can't take it all in. I've gone to heaven.
Yeah, Lila passed away in November 2008. She was 2 years and 8 months old.
I got my toe stuck. What's she talking about?
That's how she died.
What, with her toe stuck?
Toast. She choked on toast.
Oh, love. I got my toe stuck. Oh, my God.
Sit down.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. She's here, love. You put me behind a curtain. You put me behind a curtain. And they closed the curtain. Was she in someone's house? Did they lay it? Did her casket come home?
Yes.
And did they put a screen in front of it? Or was she in a bay window?
Yes.
Oh, they closed the curtains.
I don't see how anyone can watch clips like this and think that exploiting dead children for entertainment is in any way okay. The second way psychics and mediums can cause harm is in that they disappoint people. And I don't just mean like, oh, that was a bit of a letdown. I mean, so many people get their hopes up when going to see a psychic or medium that it can be so damaging to be let down by them. Just the kind of person I am, and like being a bit of a skeptic, I absolutely love watching psychic fail videos. If you've not seen them, Holy Kool-Aid, Thomas, he has 2 amazing videos of psychics failing and messing up and getting things wrong. Again, I'll link them down in the description below. They are absolutely fantastic. They're brilliant. They're hilarious, but they're kind of entertaining. It's great to see scammers fail, you know? I love watching these kinds of videos. However, it also really upsets me to see the disappointment in people's faces when they truly believe in psychics and mediums and they're let down by them. As entertaining as I find watching scammers fail, it really, really hurts me to see innocent people being hurt. A lot of the people who go and see psychics and mediums really, truly believe they're going to get a chance to reconnect with loved ones they've lost. And when they don't, it's heartbreaking to watch.
I've been speaking to my dad all day, asking him to come through.
I'm hoping to get a message from my nan and granddad.
Psychics and mediums convince people that they're connecting with the dead by using a mix of hot and cold reading techniques. Hot reading is normally about going away and researching your client or whoever you're reading beforehand. Cold reading is more based on making general statements, using sort of well-known statistics and patterns to try and guess certain things, or picking up on clues from the client in front of you, or repeating back things that you've been told, and so on. If you want to know more about that, I have 2 videos on hot and cold reading techniques that are quite old now, but I still think they're kind of interesting and informative. If you want to go check them out, again, they'll be linked in the description below, so you're going to have lots of further watching from this video if you're interested in it. When it comes to things like cold reading, some psychics are better than others, which is why some psychics get more accurate hits than others. An example of cold reading would be when you see psychics throwing out things like, alright, I'm getting an M, or maybe it's an N, or this kind of letter or pattern, I'm seeing this, you know, it's kind of very vague statements like that. And then someone in the audience will be like, it's not an M, it's Emma. I lost my daughter Emma. And then the psychic uses that to start being like, yeah, I can see her now. And then based on the age of the person that they're reading, maybe picking up on clues that can tell them whether they think this person lost their daughter a long time ago or more recently. They can kind of figure out what age that daughter might have been, and they can start to like pick up some things like that. So if it's, you know, a woman in her 20s who's like red-eyed and a bit of a mess, they might be like, Emma's a newborn baby, isn't she? I can see her in front of me. And, you know, if it's accurate, then they can run with that. If it's inaccurate, they can be like, so why am I seeing a newborn baby? Why? I'm being kind of like really vague and weird now, but that's kind of like basically cold reading and like picking up on those clues from the audience and like reading things back and so on. When it comes to cold reading, some psychics aren't very good at it. And even the experienced ones can mess up sometimes, and you can't expect them to get hit after hit after hit because it's not an exact science. Some psychics don't even realize they're doing it. They just think that's what their gift is. And so that's why sometimes psychics get things wrong. Really wrong. Often you'll see them try and kind of like write this off, sort of defer attention away from the mistake by being like, oh, well, you know, maybe I'm getting like mixed signals. Maybe that's another spirit coming through. Or maybe they'll say things like, no, I am right. This is what the spirits are telling me. You must be wrong. I'm going to leave this with you. Go away and think about it. And then they leave it up to the person they're reading to try and do some like weird mental gymnastics to try and make whatever they've said fit. For a skeptic like me, who's familiar with the techniques that they use and understands them and has seen them used over and over and over, it can be hilarious to watch psychics fail and get things wrong and mess up and make really obvious mistakes or whatever. I think it can be so funny. But you have to think about the person being read for as well. Again, often these people who go for readings or who go to these live shows to try and get a reading, they're genuinely hoping for or expecting a loved one to come through and connect with them. The medium probably got their hopes up when they started like chatting with them or whatever, or maybe they got a few hits. And then as soon as they get things wrong, that's when the person being read for gets hurt. Because they either realize that this is a scam and they're being exploited and used, or they trust in this medium or psychic so much, they start to think they've done something wrong. They start to think that maybe they didn't know their loved one well enough. Or they start to think that maybe their loved one didn't care enough to come through or say the right things or do whatever. Or they blame themselves. It can lead to people being really hurt, really disappointed, and often conned out of a lot of their time and money. There are tons and tons of examples of this out on the internet. But as a few kind of different examples, there are a couple of clips I want to show you. One of them is this one of John Edward, where he basically, like, he pulls a number out of thin air. It doesn't fit with anything to do with the person he's supposedly reading for, and then he basically shames the family for not being able to make sense of it. And he's like, no, well, you know, I'm the psychic, I'm right. This isn't how psychic maths works. You know, you need to do this. And I just find it kind of disgusting. Take a look at this clip.
There.
Our brother passed away, and he died suddenly. We didn't get to say.
Don't say anything about him. But
Okay.
Is your question about your brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
His mom also passed?
Yep.
And she passed before him?
Yep.
Because I feel like she was there to greet him. Was there some type of, like, was he missing or somebody missing? Or was there, like, somebody in the family that was, like, out of the family for a while? Removed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are the 5 kids in the family?
Yeah, there's more than 5.
Tell me.
6.
So out of the psychic math now, we know we do 5 minus 1, right? 5 are similar, 1's different.
Okay.
So how can I have 5 being similar, 1 being different?
Not sure.
Is it that 5 are living and 1's passed? Or?
No.
6 are living and 3
yeah,
have
there's
passed.
6 girls and...
So how many total?
Sorry, there's 8 altogether in the siblings.
9.
Is that right? 9, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
9.
Thank you.
So there's
We're all
6
sisters.
Okay.
girls and 3 boys have passed. Males.
So I need to do, in my way, it's got to be 5 and 4, where 5 have something in common and 4 are different. So are 5 close in age, 4 further apart, or how many total passed?
3.
No. I don't know how to split it, but I know it's got to be 5 and 4.
Another example is this one of Sylvia Brown essentially messing with parents who've lost their daughter.
My daughter, Michelle, was 17 years old. She'll be gone 5 years, the 21st of this year. Sylvia, I don't know how she died. Please, if you can, how did she die?
She was shot. Circumstances around her death?
She just collapsed in her room.
I don't know, but something looks like it hit the chest. Because it looks like a combustion.
They found nothing on the autopsy.
I don't care,
Nothing.
but it looks like something hit her in the chest.
And another one of Sylvia Brown. As a woman, as a psychic, she absolutely disgusts me. The amount of things she's got wrong, the amount of people she's messed with, and the amount of big cases she's got involved with, and honestly just the number of people she's hurt, she does sicken me. But just, in this next clip, look at the look on this poor woman's face when, again, Sylvia Brown tries to pull some crap out of thin air about the person she's lost.
I lost my boyfriend tragically a few years ago. They never found him. And I've had such a hard time since, every day.
The reason why you didn't find him is because he's in water. And find him in water, it's like the girl that's missing in Aruba. You can't find somebody.
Well, it was September 11th. There was no, he was a fireman, but there was
no, see, I keep seeing him in water. Is there any way he could have drowned in water some way?
They never found a piece of him. Nothing.
From 9/11. Because he says he couldn't breathe and he was filled with water. Well, if they were trying to put the fire out, come on, town.
They could have, you know, yeah.
No, they won't find him, but honey, that's okay, because it doesn't matter if they find him or not, he's still over there.
The third and final thing I want to talk about in regards to psychics and mediums harming people is the way they hinder police investigations. I don't know if this is an ego thing or a matter of being genuinely delusional, but the number of psychics who try and get involved in police investigations, in criminal investigations, just the number of psychics who try and insert themselves into active investigations just blows my mind. Of course, we have to acknowledge that there are some stories out there of psychics who have given tips to the police and they've turned out to be right. However, we also have to acknowledge that in a lot of these cases, it wasn't because they got signs from spirits. I remember hearing about one case in which some psychic led the police to a dead body. Turns out they'd been the one to kill them. There was another one I heard about where, again, they led the police to like a dead body or something. It turns out the psychic had overheard the killer bragging about it in like a local pub or something like that. In a few cases, it was just an absolute fluke, you know, them sticking a pin in a map and being in roughly the right area, that kind of thing. While there are cases of psychics helping the police, more often than not, they literally hinder active investigations. They waste police time, they hold them back with unsubstantiated claims, and they often cause unnecessary pain and suffering for the victims or families of victims. So often, people who have had a loved one go missing or be murdered or something like that will be inundated with calls from psychics claiming they know what happened to their kid and, you know, asking for money so that they can tell them and so on. Probably one of the most famous examples of this is, again, Sylvia Browne messing up again, causing pain again, and the Amanda Berry case. So Amanda Berry was a young girl who went missing, and her mother was obviously still searching for her. She had no idea what happened to her. She was absolutely heartbroken. Sylvia Browne told the mother that her daughter was dead. The mother died thinking her daughter was dead, and a couple of years later, the daughter was found having been kidnapped and held captive for a few years. Check out this clip.
Almost 9 years ago, Amanda Berry's mom went on the Montel Williams show where resident psychic Sylvia Browne spoke of Amanda.
I don't think I'll ever see her again.
Yeah, in heaven, on the other side.
The WMMS morning show in Cleveland reenacted the transcript. The host read the part of the psychic.
I hate this when they're in water. She's not alive, honey.
Not alive? Then who's this?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years and I'm here, I'm free now.
Amanda's mom is the one no longer alive. She came home from the psychic's reading telling the Cleveland Plain dealer she was devastated. She died a little more than a year later after being hospitalized with pancreatitis.
I just think it's absolutely heartbreaking and disgusting. By her making these claims and saying your daughter is dead, perhaps the mother lost hope. Perhaps the mother started putting pressure on the police in the wrong places to look for a body instead of looking for her daughter who was still alive. And what I think is most heartbreaking about this is the fact that the mother died thinking her daughter was dead when she wasn't. I think it's absolutely disgusting of Sylvia Browne to make people feel this way. And for what? For a bit of money? I find it disgusting. Another example I want to show you of psychics talking about kind of criminal investigations and things like that is this clip from John Edward, where he's like reading a member of the audience and he suddenly starts talking about murder and it's not a hit with that family he's talking to, so he does the typical like, oh, you know, must be another spirit coming through, me. And then what's interesting about him is instead of going with unsolved murders and making claims that can't be like proven or whatever, he says how he only likes to talk about solved criminal cases and solved murders. Again, interesting, it means he only wants to talk about things where he can pick up clues from the person he is reading, if that makes sense. And of course, like, you'll notice with some of the things he says, like, you know, oh, were they killed by a loved one? Like, he's using generic crime stats that everyone knows to try and, you know, make a best guess and whatever. Just take a look at this clip.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Was somebody murdered? Like, murdered?
No.
There's a murder here.
Okay.
Murder?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not comfortable with murders on camera. Was this unsolved?
No.
It was solved?
Mm-hmm.
I'm more comfortable then. I've had a couple of very uncomfortable moments where I revealed stuff where it was unsolved, and then it kind of got out there, so I don't like that. I don't know who this is yet. I just know that they're taking on the fact that they were murdered, but they were murdered by somebody that I think they knew from what they're showing me. Like, this isn't like a random thing. It's like they're connected to the person. So I don't know if they were, like, shot by their husband, if they were, like, murdered by their boyfriend, but I'm feeling like this is a relationship that's connected, and they're letting me know that. Are there 2 people that were killed?
No.
I see 2. This isn't like a murder-suicide, right?
No.
I see 2 people who passed tragically.
My second cousin.
Murdered?
Murdered, then he took his own life. Yeah.
And are you guys together?
We're friends, yes.
Okay, so your family's coming through together.
And then finally, the last example first I want to show you is this little experiment that I think it's Inside Edition did, where a undercover reporter took a photo of a girl to a psychic saying she's missing. The psychic was like, oh, she's dead and she's here, you should look here, and, you know, she earned money for helping with this case. Turns out that photograph was just a photo of another reporter when she was a child, and yeah, this is what happened.
Countless psychic crime fighters like Portland, Oregon clairvoyant Lori McQuarrie claim they've helped solve hundreds of missing persons cases. Posing as the distraught brother of a missing child, we sent our producer Charlie McElravy to meet with Lori McQuarrie. We showed her a photo of this missing girl, and she agreed to take the case for $400.
But I think it's solvable.
But what Lori didn't know was that the photo our producer gave her was actually a childhood photo of me. And obviously, I'm very much alive.
I don't believe she's alive. I'm sorry. I believe that it was a violent passing.
McQuarrie's sixth sense told her the girl was brutally murdered and sexually assaulted.
I think she was hit in the head with a rock.
But her visions didn't end there.
I think she can be brought home.
Pointing to a remote spot on this map, she even said she could help bring her body home.
And maybe even a mile or 2 from there.
Clearly, her psychic abilities didn't tell her that I was the girl in the picture.
One of the first things I do in a case, Lisa, is I always make sure people know that if I feel the person is living or not.
Lori, I'm going to show you something.
Okay. Yes.
Does this girl look familiar to you?
Yes, she does. I worked this case.
This is a girl who you said was beaten and killed.
Okay.
This little girl is me. And you told somebody that she's dead.
Wait a minute. You didn't disappear?
I'm right here.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
How do you explain being completely wrong?
I can't explain it. I can't explain it.
You're charging them hundreds of dollars.
You know what, dear?
Hundreds of dollars. You're taking advantage of desperate people with a bunch of hocus pocus, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I think we'll go. Thank you.
And if you think that's bad, what is even more sickening is why Inside Edition did this story in the first place.
John and Joanne Lowitzer have been searching for their 17-year-old daughter, Allie, since she vanished last year.
What do you think happened?
But when the case made national news, the Houston parents say they became inundated with calls from so-called psychic detectives. They say some even showed up at their front door, promising their psychic visions could help bring Allie home.
He guaranteed me that he'd find Allie in 3 days. I mean, what parent wouldn't be excited to hear that you're going to have your daughter home in 3 days?
Mark Klass, whose daughter Polly was abducted and killed more than 20 years ago, warns families to avoid psychics, saying they prey on the desperate.
They descend like vultures.
And send police on one wild goose chase after another.
So there we go. Not only are psychics attempting to insert themselves into active and unsolved criminal investigations, but they're also asking for money from families in pain in return. I just think it's horrible. I think it's disgusting. It really makes me mad that there are people out there who do this and act like this. And anyway, we're going to end this here today because I don't want this video to be too long. But thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this. Thank you for putting up with whatever's happening with my hair at the minute. Again, let's ignore it and not talk about it, please, because... Let me know what you think of people who claim to be psychics and mediums, and let me know if you think they ever help or harm anyone and what ways you think they help and harm people. Let me know what you thought of the clips and examples I showed in this video down in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching today. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel because I do more videos talking about psychics and pseudoscience and a little bit of stuff about kind of like religion and atheism, and I also do kind of sciencey stuff and fun stuff and talk about like animals and social stuff. Basically, I do a little bit of everything that's fun, and it'll be great if you want to, like, you know, come join me on this journey of learning and talking about stuff and having fun. I am rambling a little bit now, but thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you again soon.